Hi everyone, I'm going to shoot the latest course report and give you an update of what's going on out on the golf course at the minute. I've got to do this one indoors today because it's still a little bit windy outside, so we don't get interference on the mic. I've done it indoors. So today is June the 8th. It's still quite cold. I've got quite a few layers on for June still. So to touch on the weather, it's been quite indifferent so far this year. If we go back to March, March was the wettest since 1981. April remained wet. It was also the coldest since 1984. The beginning of May would continue to be wet, and the second half of May, and even so still today, it's remained dry for the last 4 weeks, but we've had this real constant northeast wind that's not slowed down at all. So ground conditions, the top sort of 2 inches is bone dry, crusty and firm, but then underneath you've still got a lot of moisture in the ground. Don't think we've had a day over 21 yet on the island. This northeasterly breeze is making it feel a lot colder than that. Even this morning, I've had a woolly hat on, so it's very unusual for the time of year. But you haven't got to go too far inland, even Maidstone, and you're sort of mid-20s, and totally different. Wouldn't know it's what we're getting on the island. So it's been difficult. It's affected us in a number of ways, which I'll run through in a minute. But we continue to break records year on year. Even November was the wettest November on record. So it's been very, very difficult to do what we'd normally do this time of year. So even to the point that 3 weeks ago we were saturated, 4 weeks ago we were saturated, and now we're firm and rock hard. And I could actually do a little bit of rain. I know that's crazy to say, but it's true. So that's the weather update, if you like. I'll do the whole course report from inside today, so there won't be any videos of the actual stuff on the course, but I'll run you through what we've been doing, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So to touch on the greens, obviously this northeasterly breeze has really dried them out a lot. In fact, all northeast facing corners of all the greens are suffering. They're a little bit dry. Where the winds at a sort of constant 25 mile an hour and has literally not stopped for 4 weeks. When the sprinklers come on, the wind's blowing it away. So the northeast corners are very dry. The southwest corners, the opposites, are quite wet. 18 puddling up in the back corner all the time. At the front corner, we're bone dry. So we're having to get out and hand water daily, and to get those dry spots, which that's a man taken out of the equation. But we've got no other option. This is the way it is until the wind changes or slows down a little bit. This is what we're going to have to continue to do. So hand watering is a daily thing at the minute. A few seed heads kicking about. We did double scarify on Monday this week. We lowered the height to -2 for that. So that's going to help knock them out. Mowing at 3.5 mil, which is normal for this time of year. Club Championship coming up in a couple of weeks' time, so we'll drop them down a little bit. But they are quite firm. But on the whole, they're not too bad, the greens. Reasonably pleased for them for June. They're just dry and firm, but they're not too bad, the greens. Update you on a couple of little things we've been doing out there, projects. So in April we scarified all the fairways. We used a different machine this year, one that wasn't as aggressive on the bumps, especially on the marsh. I'm pleased to report that really worked well. We then overseeded And like I say earlier, because of the moisture in the ground, that seed really popped through quite quickly. It was quite nice. They've gone a bit dry now. A little bit of rain would help them out a little bit. And in places, one or two of the slits have opened up a little bit. But that project went really well, and I was really pleased with how that actually all went down. And especially on the wet bits that have gone bald, we've got a nice bit of grass coverage coming back through, and that will obviously help to fill those areas in. The 8th hole got opened just prior to the President's Putter last month. Mixed reviews on that so far. Obviously, it's still a very early days, but the green itself, as always, has always been all right. The surrounds, they're a little bit patchy still. It's been such a difficult growing around there with the drought last year and the really wet winter, and the soil's actually gone a little bit hydrophobic. What that means is it can't retain moisture, so see, when it rains, it just sits on tops and evaporates. It doesn't actually get into the profile very well. So we're going to put a little, some granular stuff down on that to help that grow in. And obviously all the seed from the overseed is still sitting in there, and hopefully that'll pop up. But at the minute, it won't retain moisture. So hopefully with an application of this stuff I'm going to put down, it will start to do that, and that seed will kick in. And once the surrounds that are patchy at the minute fill out, then I'm very confident that's going to be a decent little area around that new green. The old green obviously is GUR, painted up with blue line with drop zone. We'll keep that for a while just to see how it all goes. And yeah, you know, we'll just all get used to it, and we'll see how it performs the 8th. But it's open, and it's in play. Not an easy hole, especially with this wind. But hopefully we'll get normal weather conditions soon, and we'll get a real true reflection of how the hole plays. The 16th, the pond. You're probably all aware that it's got a leak. We knew from the start where it was going. It's going down an old land drain, so what connects to the ditch behind the 4th green out to 9 and so on. We thought we blocked it. We thought wrong, but we've since done some more work behind the 16th green to hopefully block or at least slow it down, and we'll see how that goes. So we're actually currently filling it up right now, and then we'll monitor the levels of the water in there, because obviously it's a great addition if it holds water. You know, you don't want a dirty big muddy puddle there. We want a pond like it's meant to be. So there are a couple of little updates on the projects going on out there at the minute. Like I say, the rest of it is just mowing. But yeah. The last thing I want to cover in this month's course report is the rough. Obviously, massive issue with the rough. I've been accused of fertilising it. I've been accused of growing it up deliberately. And you all know that's not true. Unless you've lived in a cave for the last 3 months, you will know that it's been horrendous, the weather. We've had so much moisture. And as soon as we got a bit of warmth, mid-May, it just went berserk. So the long grasses, as we'll call them, are particularly thick. They're not overly long, but they are particularly thick. We know this. It's not something that we've done deliberately. It's purely down to the weather conditions. So we did have a chemical that we was going to spray on the areas, or at least a trial area, to see if we could try and thin it out using chemical application. What it's designed to do is to kill off your ryegrasses, your Yorkshire fogs and that, which allows your finer grasses, your bents and your fescues, to grow. Well, at the minute they're competing with the rye and losing. I say we was going to do a trial area to see how it reacts, because the issue is it kills off the ryegrass. Our rough is about 85% rye. So it might bite us in the bum a little bit, but we're definitely going to give it a go. Due to this wind we've not been able to get out and spray. So we've probably missed a window now. So when we cut and collect in the autumn, we will spray the rough to try and do exactly that. For this season though, I think we've missed a window. I think it's going to be a little bit too late because of the wind. Yeah, it's not something we do deliberately. We do try and make it fair where we can, but it is this year, because of the weather, and only because of the weather, it is particularly thick. The cut rough continues to be mown. It's growing at a stupid rate still. Like I say, there's a lot of moisture in the ground, and we do try and cut it every week. You know, to cut all the rough out there in a week will take about 3 days. So, you know, you might get an area where we haven't been yet, and you say, oh, why are you leaving the rough long? We're not. We haven't got round to that bit yet. But the long grasses, I can't thin them out mechanically. There's not a machine in the market that will thin it out. And then, you know, I'm getting people say, we just cut it all down. If we just cut it all down, none of our mowers can cut all that down. We'd have to hire them in. And then you can't just cut it down once, obviously, because it's growing. You're going to have to keep cutting it down. So it's a little bit of patience there, really. Make sure you hit provisionals. Make sure you watch where your ball goes. That's still a big one. People don't really look where the ball goes properly, and when they get down there looking for it, they're totally in the wrong place. I see that every day. It is annoying. We get that. There's nothing we can do about it, really. And hopefully, you know, in the autumn when we do cut it back and pick it all up, and we spray this chemical, hopefully moving forward, it gets better. But I know the rough is a big issue at the minute for people. Yeah, not much else I can say really other than that. Sorry. So that's this month's course report over. Covered most things that I think I need to talk about. Obviously, we're very busy at the minute with the mowing. Grass is growing at phenomenal rates, really, for this time of year. The wind has caused us massive issues in terms of spraying. We've not been able to spray for 4 weeks. So we've got all our herbicide to get out the fairways. There's a few areas out there that clover has taken over. A few tee boxes, especially some of the ladies' tees, are getting quite bad for weeds, but we've just not been able to spray. And you know, looking like we're going to get a bit of a spray window next week, so we need to put wetting agent and feed down on the greens, get our selective herbicide out in fairways and rough and things like that, and obviously we've got a few other little bits as well, so that's caused us a bit of an issue. Grass growth obviously as well is constantly just ain't got, it's bums on seats time, and it's difficult, and there's other little things to do as well, but it's all about getting it ready for club champs now, really, and then getting, you know, moving forward on that. We have put new 150 posts out. You may have seen them already. So the old ones were rotten and knackered, so we got rid of them and put some new ones out. And in general, the golf course is pretty good. Greens are good. So, you know, we're still very, very busy in terms of golf. Get a lot of golf played out there now. President's Putter a couple of weekends ago. Over 200 people in that. Wow. Brilliant. But yeah, lads are working very hard. And yeah, fair play to them for that, really. So I think that's it for this month's course report. I don't think I've missed anything off. You know, if I have, or you got any questions, normal manner, see me out in the course. Stick it in the comments box or go through the office. But I hope it all makes sense. I hope that clears any doubt in your mind you may have. And I'll see you all soon. Cheers then. Bye.